Quadruple bottom line from the sustainability perspective is not just looking at the environmental aspects, which are clearly very important, but it covers also the environmental, the social, the economic and the governance elements of sustainability. So it's all very well to have the environmental piece, and it's fundamental that we make sure that we're continuing to improve our carbon reporting and we're continuing to do the things that we should be doing to protect the planet. But equally, we need to make sure that we're protecting our people and the people in our supply chains as well. Now, currently in Australia, we're seeing there's 640,000 tonnes or circa that number of imported fabricated steel coming into this country. Roughly 80% of that comes in from the Asian region. If you start to overlay that against what do you know, therefore, about the elements that go into those prefabricated components, you've got concerns, or you should be raising concerns around the standards that those materials are manufactured to and who's determined that those products meet those relevant standards. You also need to think about where has the raw material for that steel come from. Has the scrap metal that's gone into the electric arc furnaces come from a reputable source, or has it come from ships that have been broken up on the shores of Bangladesh, for example, using slave labour? You know, any company turning over $100 million or more post July 2019 is going to be required to put in place a statement about what they're doing to eradicate modern slavery from their supply chains. How confident can you be if you're buying in these imported fabricated elements with a real lack of traceability and transparency of those supply chains? Equally, if you're buying it from blast furnaces, how do you know that the iron ore that's been mined or the coal that's been mined to manufacture that steel has come from places that are not employing slave labour? It's a really critical element that I think people need to be very conscious of. From an economic perspective, it's where you add value. What is the net economic benefit, for example, of using locally manufactured material that provides employment for people in regional and remote areas, as well as the major areas in which we operate, like Newcastle and Sydney and Melbourne? It's a very open question. In terms of the governance, it relates also then to having good policies and procedures and reporting against those in an ethical way that complies with all the legislative requirements, as well as what the expectations are of our broader community that we're operating within. It's increasingly being asked for by our property developers, but also by government as a procurer.